One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Rookie Life Podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us today for episode number 36. Okay, so today we're talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's all about rest. So, if you don't know this about me, I have 3 kids and the world's neediest dog ever. So rest is something that is very precious to me, and I believe I used to take it for granted. Like, I've always been just the type of person, I don't really sit down a lot. I'm always on the go, either cleaning something or helping someone or just go. And you throw being an entrepreneur into the mix, and rest has kind of been non-existent for me. So I really wanted to talk about this today because I believe it's important to take care of ourselves and to really find and explore ways that we can find rest. So that's what we're talking about. But if you're brand new to the Rookie Life, welcome. Let me tell you some of the other fun things we talk about here on the podcast. We focus on what it means to start something new, even when you have no idea where to begin. How to develop new skills in all areas of your life, and how to find that it factor that'll keep you motivated every single day. So join us as we dive headfirst into what it means to be a rookie. Come on, rookies, we all have to start somewhere. Y'all, I am so excited about this new resource that I just created. If you're looking to start a podcast, or you've kind of wondered if it's something that you even want to dabble in, like, am I going to come up with enough content, enough ideas to really have a podcast for an entire year, then this is the resource that you need. I just developed a PDF that is 500 podcast ideas for any industry. That's right, any industry. And I know 500 ideas sounds like a lot because it is. I created this tool with you in mind. Like, what is your industry? Chances are I thought of it and I already pretended like you came to me and said, Crystal, what are some ideas for real estate, fashion, business, marketing, online marketing, or just dealing with everyday interviewing? I have come up with so many ideas and I cannot wait to share this tool with you. So if you're interested, go to crystalprofit.com/500 ideas. That's Crystal with a K, Profit with 2 F's and 2 T's /500 ideas. Or you can find it in our free resource library at crystalprofit.com/tips and strategies. Hey rookies, and welcome back to episode number 36. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to remind you of a couple of things. The first is I wanted to remind you that we always provide the show notes for each episode. So if you're interested in learning more about any of our guests or anything that we've talked about here, please go to crystalprofit.com/podcast. That's Crystal with a K, Profit with 2 F's and 2 T's to check out the show notes for this week's episode. You'll also find social media links for any of our guests so you can continue to follow their journeys. The next thing I wanted to remind you is to be sure and subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. There are some awesome things coming up around the corner and I can't wait to share them with you. And while you're at it, please rate and review the show on iTunes. I can't wait to do another giveaway soon, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose random reviewers to receive some really cool Rookie Life merchandise. You can leave a star rating between 1 and 5 stars, but here's what you have to do to be considered for one of the drawings. You have to leave a comment on what you think of the show, or tell other people what your favorite episode is, or you can just tell me, hey Crystal, I want to hear more about this topic. But you have to leave a comment to be considered for one of the drawings. I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to receive some really cool stuff because who knows what the prize is going to be next time. Okay, now that we've gotten all the business side of things out of the way, let's talk about finding time for rest. Okay, so the topic of rest, like what does that even really mean, right? Because we hear people talk all the time about self-care or, being mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy. Like we hear all these things, but I don't think people talk about rest enough. And the reason why this came up for me is because I recently started enforcing technology-free Sundays. And the reason I did this is because, probably like you, I am addicted to checking my phone. Oh, I don't even like saying those words out loud. It's really sad. Come on. You can relate if you've taken your phone to the bathroom and, you're just like, hey, I don't even have to go. I just gotta pee. I'm gonna be in and out real fast, but I still take my phone to the bathroom. What is that about? Come on, Crystal. Oh, I'm totally embarrassed saying that out loud, but I'm not the only one, so I'll get over it. But it's just too much. It's way too much. I just needed to take a step back from this incessant need to check social media all the time whenever that isn't the number one thing driving my business anyway. Does that make sense? Right? We're so addicted to this platform or this type of engagement or checking out what other people are doing in their life. I'm as guilty as the next person of seeing what, these celebrities are up to, or, what are they having for dinner and what kind of workouts are they doing and what is this and what is that? And I'm ignoring my kids. And I don't like to say that because it's the total shame, guilt just washes over me, but it's the truth. And so instead of ignoring this, I've decided to call myself out and face it head on. And I enforced technology-free Sundays. I don't make everybody in my house do this. This is a personal choice for me. And it's worked out pretty awesome because I don't get on my phone other than if someone texts me. I'm not going to ignore people that text me because it's usually my family or, a good friend of mine. But other than that, that's really it. There's no checking emails. There's no social media. And I do not even turn on my laptop at all. And it's just really opened up. It's forced me. I shouldn't say opened up. It has forced me to use the creative side of my brain in order to either entertain myself, find ways to hang out with the kids in a different way, or, just hang out with Seth when he's not doing school stuff, because he's going back to school right now. He'll be done with school in August, and I cannot wait. He's getting his MBA, and I'm so proud of him, but I'm so ready for him to be done with school. But yeah, so here's some of the things that I've done in order to take advantage of technology-free Sundays. I have chosen I worked on a painting. It wasn't really a painting. I was working on this. It has the word rookie written out, and I started doing it in Sharpie. I need to finish painting it. But that was a lot of fun. And then the kids wanted to color and paint because I was doing that. So that was a way to engage with them more. And then this past Sunday, I actually, I chose to use that day to clean. I know that doesn't sound exciting, but it was something that I needed to do in order to have a more productive week and to not feel like I was falling behind on laundry or meal planning or whatever, needed to get done for the week. And plus, come on, ladies, I know you can totally relate to this. You can relax so much easier in a clean house. Like, your floors are done, the kitchen countertop is clean, the dishes are put away, the laundry's done. Like, oh my gosh, how much better does it feel to sit down on the couch and just take a deep breath? Like, it's so much better. So that's what I did this past Sunday. And then it was so beautiful here in Houston that I ended up ripping out all of my garden beds in order to get them ready for the spring. So, and I know, maybe you don't garden, maybe that's not your thing, but I love being outside whenever it's pretty. And so that was another thing that I did for my day of rest on my technology-free Sundays. But why is this important? So I have felt burnout, as I'm sure most of you have too. And I'm proactively avoiding burnout. That's the number one reason why I want to talk about rest. It's happened to me. It's happened to me more than once. It's happened to me when I've stayed at home. It's happened to me when I was a working mom at a corporate job. It's happened to me so many different ways, not even work-wise. I've been burnt out from working out or from cooking and baking too much or from, being with the kids 24 hours a day. Like, there's so many ways that you can define burnout. But the way to avoid it in whatever capacity you're in is to fit in chunks of rest throughout your day. So here's what a typical day looks like for me. If you've been listening or following me for a while, I get up early. I get up at 5 a.m. I've been doing that for several years now. I think I used to get up more like 5:30, 5:45, but now it's a solid 5 a.m. every single day. And I really enjoy that because, as I've said, as a mom of 3, it's the only time I can get peace and quiet to myself. Do you hear that? It's nothing, right? Do you hear that's the sound of silence? And what I love about being in the morning by myself with my coffee, there's nothing there except for Wally. Wally snuggles with me. Wally is my dog. If you don't know, he's my Boston Terrier. And it's just the best thing in the world because I used to, a long time ago, I would wake up, my alarm would go off at like 6:30. I needed to leave the house by like 7:15 and get the kids ready for school and do this and make lunches and, do all these things. And it was such a reactive way to start the day. And it was so stressful. It wasn't just stressful for me. I know I stressed my kids out. I know I stressed my husband out, just like rushing and going. Okay, we got to do this. You got to eat breakfast. Where's your lunch kit? Where are your shoes? Oh my gosh, we didn't set out clothes. I don't even know where the clean clothes are. Like, oh my gosh, like it kind of, I feel this tightening in my chest just talking and thinking about it, because it was super stressful. Oh my gosh, just to be that reactive to everything that's going on in your world. But because I get up at 5 a.m. now, if I forget to write a note for school, or if I forget, I forgot the clothes were, in the dryer, I need to fluff them up, they're wrinkled, whatever, before the kids get something for school, then I have time to do that in the morning. We have time to make breakfast. We have time to kind of ease into the day. And it's a much better way to start the day. So during that 5 a.m. hour, I do my writing. Well, first of all, I wake up 5 a.m. I go get my coffee. I go let Wally outside because he usually has to go to the bathroom in the morning. And then I will make my coffee, go sit down, and I write. I do my free writing. And then that's usually about 10 minutes, and then I will do my 3 gratitudes for the day. Then I do some sort of devotional reading, and then I do my prayer list, which is something that I actually write out. So it's like I'm journaling about 3 different ways. I do my free writing, my gratitudes, and my prayer list every single day. And that to me is rest. I'm starting my day with rest because, again, I'm being proactive about how my day is going to go instead of being reactive to everything else that's happening. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. That's how I start my day, with rest. And then throughout the day, or throughout the week, really, I have some non-negotiable things that have to happen. So I just recently added the tech-free Sundays to my list. And that's probably been the best thing that, I needed it. And, who knows, maybe I'll work up to tech-free Saturday and Sunday, but I'm just on Sundays right now. And I think that, if you're a spiritual person, then it kind of goes along with the Sabbath and not doing anything on Sundays. And I'm trying to really connect deeper to the spiritual side of that, like fasting from just the go, that you always got to be doing something. Like, just embrace that you don't always have to be, quote, busy. You can just, embrace that time of rest. But another non-negotiable that I have is throughout the week, I have to work out. I have to work out 3 days a week. That is the first thing that goes into my calendar. So I plan my week usually on Sundays, but if I don't have the time on Sunday or, the weekend before, then I'll do it Monday morning. And then, but that's the first thing that I put in my calendar. I time block everything, meaning I have basically every hour of my day planned out, and I will write in, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. because I drive to the gym. So usually that's how long it takes me to get there, work out, and then leave. So I put in there, I have to work out. And I know that doesn't sound like a way of resting, but the mental clarity that I get from working out helps me go about the rest of my week in a more productive way. I hope that makes sense. I have to work out in order to rest, because if I don't release those endorphins and get those happy hormones into my body, then I just couldn't, I just don't even, it's not pretty. I've been there before, I've had, weeks of being sick, or, one of the kids is sick or something, where my schedule's thrown off and I have the time to do 3 workouts, and it's not a good thing for me or the kids, or for Seth especially. He'll be like, okay, when was the last time you worked out? You need to get to the gym because you're, I can tell something's up. You're not my wife. That's what he'll say. I want my wife back. Who is this person? And so, so those are my non-negotiables. So it's the tech-free Sundays, and then I have to work out. And then I wrote down some questions of a way that I could kind of interview myself, because whenever I prepare for an interview with someone else that's going to be a guest on the podcast, I always have questions that I want to ask them. So I thought, well, it'll be fun to ask myself questions. I'm going to interview myself. So the first one is, how do you rest? And again, I would say the first thing is actually working out to rest, which is, it's kind of silly, but it's totally true. Getting that mental and physical fixation on.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
Releasing those endorphins. But some other ways that I rest is I read. I really enjoy reading books. I don't read as many hardback paper books as I used to. I do a lot more audiobooks. And again, I do that when I'm working out, and that actually is something I really enjoy. Whenever I was working out in the yard this past weekend, I listened to a few motivational podcasts, and it's just something that I like to do. It's therapeutic to me to have a soft voice in my ear or a motivational voice telling me, like, you can do this, like, here's how I overcame this, or here's how I deal with this struggle, or, hey, this is how you can make your podcast or your online business even better. So that's actually very peaceful to me. Another way, and this is so silly, I started doing this maybe like 3 years ago, but I have a few adult coloring books. And I've shared these on social media, so I know I'm not the only one that does this, but every once in a while I'll bust out my matte pencils. That reminds me of, like, what was it, middle school geography, when you had to color all the maps and, you had to just color with all these matte pencils. So every once in a while I'll bust those out and just color. I might have the TV on in the background. I may just have some music playing, so I'm not like fully into like, oh, everybody leave me alone, you can't talk to me while I'm coloring. But it's just kind of, maybe it's the rhythmic motion of coloring back and forth, but it's very soothing to me. And my favorite way of resting is just spacing out with some Netflix. Like, that's my, I guess a lot of people probably will say the same thing, but I love watching Friends. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched the reruns of all the seasons. And then I love The Office. Oh my gosh, Jim and Pam, they're my faves. And I could just watch it. Like, so I like to space out every once in a while. Actually, when I'm cooking dinner, I will have my phone and I'll turn on Netflix and just watch The Office whenever I'm cooking dinner, or I'll watch Friends. But I also love watching movies with the family. So the kids and I and Seth, like, we will do, most of the times it's like a kids movie night, like on Fridays, because we don't go out a lot and do much. We're just such homebodies. We love being at home. But I'll watch like a movie with the kids on Friday, and Seth's usually doing school stuff, or he has to take a test. Again, I can't wait for him to be done with school. Or, and then on Saturday, Seth and I will watch a movie. We just watched Crazy Rich Asians, and it was so good. So if you haven't watched that, you should go see it, because it was so good. But that's like, it's relaxing to me because, it's just either the two of us or the kids on the couch and just hanging out. Like, it just helps me unwind. And I just love the entertainment factor of movies. I've always loved going to the movies. I've loved watching movies at home. It's what we did as a kid too. I mean, I remember our closet at home back when we had, VHS tapes, And we just had hundreds of movies. And I probably watched the same like 5 movies over and over again. And even when everything was on a DVD, like I watched the same movies just over and over again. But I love watching movies. That's another way that I rest. Okay, so that was like a long-winded answer to one question. But my next question that I had for myself is, how do you practice self-care? And again, this goes back to mental balance is just so important to me. Like having those first few moments, or really it's about 45 minutes to an hour that it takes me to do the writing and the gratitudes and the prayers and the devotionals. And then sometimes I'll have like a nonfiction book that I read in the morning. But that's like self-care 101. I need to start my day every day that way. And I know that sounds kind of dramatic to say, oh, I need to start the day, but it's true. Like it is 100% true, because I've gone 3 days without doing it. I've gone a week without doing this. I've gone months before where I didn't do this, and I just felt like I was kind of wandering around, like kind of just feeling lost, like something was out of whack, like I'm off balance, like I'm off kilter. Something is just not right. And whenever I started writing again or doing my prayers, doing my gratitudes in the morning, like everything just like, okay, Crystal's back. Like Seth said, like my wife's back. I know like this is who she is. She's pleasant. She's easy to talk to. She's outgoing. Like, okay, she's back. But if I don't do that, I'm just totally not myself. So that's one way I practice self-care, is doing my writing and my whole morning routine. And then another way is working out. Like I said, I love to work out. I've been doing a lot of spin on the bike at the YMCA. Yeah, I work out at the YMCA. If I don't have time or I can't go, then I'll do like a kettlebell workout or something at home, because we have those, and I have a Bosu ball and a yoga mat, and I'll do all that at home. But I enjoy going to the gym because they watch Neelan for me. Neelan is our 3-year-old, and it gives, him an opportunity to play with some friends, and it gives me the opportunity to work out totally like without having to worry about, where is he? Oh my gosh, like am I going to accidentally swing the kettlebell and hit him? Like it's a lot more stressful when you work out at home with a whole bunch of kids and the dog who wants to jump all over you when you're on the yoga mat or you're on the Bosu ball. So it's totally different. I love working out at the YMCA. And then another way I practice self-care is, I don't do this very often, but every once in a while I do enjoy a good bubble bath. I really do. And I've gotten to the point where I try to read in the bath, but like I said, I read so many audiobooks or ebooks that I just turn on some music and I just meditate. Sometimes I'll put some essential oils in there or light a candle and just really kind of go into like, I pretend that I'm at a spa somewhere and really just enjoying the ambiance of like, oh, like this is what it's like to be at rest or at peace and resting. And it can totally change my mood. But I try not to do that unless I'm about to go to sleep, because I'll take a bath and then like I'm done for. Like I think it's probably because I take really, really hot baths. And so I will just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm so tired. I'm ready to just go straight to bed. I don't do that very often, maybe like a few times a month, because I'm usually on the go and I'm busy. Again, going back to that word, busy. And maybe I should challenge myself to do that at least once a week, where I just have like a really relaxing bath time. But okay, so I have one more point I wanted to make about this. And so we're talking about finding time to rest. And this last point that I want to make is, I actually try to get more done during the week, because then I can rest for longer periods of time. So let me explain what that means. Instead of taking more breaks throughout the day, whether it's a break to check social media, or a break to, watch another Netflix show, or to do anything like that. I would rather just power through whatever it is that I'm working on, whether it's a project or editing podcast or doing interviews for the podcast, writing posts for social media, whatever. I would rather power through everything that I'm working on so I don't have that guilt about taking Sundays off, right? Because, as an entrepreneur, you want to build this business around the life that you want to live, but if you're never taking a break, that goes back to the burnout, right? Like that goes back to you're going to just totally run yourself into the ground if you never take a day off, if you never take an afternoon off, if you are, working before the kids get up and staying up way late, like you're not getting sleep. That's another really important thing when it comes to self-care. I get sleep. When you wake up at 5 a.m. and I can't stay up late. Like I'm in bed, usually asleep by 9:30. And I get, 7.5 hours of sleep. That is totally fine for me. And I want to make a point about this. If you're a mom or a mom, then sleep is very precious. And I think back to the days of when my kids were not sleeping through the night, where I was just thanking God that I got 2 straight hours of uninterrupted sleep. And I don't take that for granted. I don't stay up late. I don't push through and say, I'm going to stay up till 11:30 tonight and then I'm going to get up at 5. Like, no, don't do that. If you are doing that right now, I want you to evaluate how that's going to work out for you over the long haul, because you could be getting so much more done with a clear head once you've gotten a good night's sleep. And I hear professionals and just experts in their industries talking about the importance of sleep over and over again. And I'm going to say it to you too, is get some sleep. That is the best way to practice self-care, is just getting a good night's rest every single night. And because I've been there with 3 kids, trust me, I have lost many, many, many hours of sleep. But because everyone sleeps through the night now, like I don't take that for granted. I shut my phone off. I try not to watch anything right before I go to bed. I try not to be on my phone right before I go to sleep. And I just hit my pillow and I say, good night, world. Good night, moon. I will see you tomorrow. But anyway, I really encourage sleep. So let me go back to my other point. Try to be mindful of the little breaks that you take throughout the day. I think it's important to take breaks, but there's a difference between walking away and stretching your legs and then, taking a few deep breaths to kind of get some mental clarity and then going back to work. But when you step away from your desk, and you know what I'm talking about, when you find yourself going down a rabbit hole of social media and then you come back and it's like, oh, I just wasted an hour. What just happened? Try to avoid that. Try to really stick with what you're working on, follow through, and really just get as much done as you can in the hours that you have, so you don't feel guilty about taking an entire day off on Sunday or whatever day if you choose to do a tech-free day. And I'm telling you, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. That's probably one of the best things that I have recently enforced, like a habit that I'm creating in my life. It's made all the difference in the world. So that's all I have for you today about rest. Let me just kind of recap that we talked about, burnout, and you can have it in any form, shape, or fashion in your life. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We talked about what a typical day looks like for me and how you can incorporate some of these morning rituals into your life. My non-negotiables are tech-free Sunday, and I have to work out 3 days a week. I absolutely have to. I talked about some of the ways that I find rest with reading and my Netflix and adult coloring books and my movies with my husband, and practicing self-care is, my occasional baths. And I've kind of just threw down a gauntlet, right? I threw down a challenge. I need to do that more often because I know that is something that is important to me. And then mental balance is just, it's everything. It's totally everything. And then getting more done in order to relax. So focusing on finishing those projects, getting it done, avoid those time wasters like checking social media, checking your email constantly, and then just power through, get it done in order to take longer breaks on the weekend or whenever you decide to take longer breaks. So that does it for episode 36. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We can continue this conversation. I'd love for you to find me on Facebook. I'm at Crystal Profit TX, and on Instagram at Crystal Profit TX. Again, that's Crystal with a K, Profit with 2 F's and 2 T's. And I would love to carry this conversation further. And what do you do to relax? You can always send me an email, crystal@crystalprofit.com. and we can chat about this further. So remember to check out the show notes, subscribe to the show, and leave a review. Stay tuned for next week's show, and remember, keep it up, rookies. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.